Joining us now from our Abuja studio to talk about the modern-day slave trade in Libya is the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Kabir Shitu, joining us right now from our Abuja studio. Good morning, Kabir. It's nice to have you join us now. I know you've been following. This development, but the recent outcry of slave trading in Libya and all of the things Africans or others are going through, are you surprised?
For us, we are not too surprised because you have climate change, you have increase in population and drought. Now you have no industries where these young people can work. So where they are growing up and they have the aged parents that they have to take care of. And so they must strive to make sure that they meet the end means and take care of their aged family. How would they do it? There's nowhere than to immigrate out of the country. So this calls for us as people to look at our governance and now be able to fashion the economic policies of our government according to our own ethics and beliefs. When corruption has eaten deep, and you take this money out of the country, invest in another economy where there's it has no impact on your own country. These are why you see these young people. If not, Nigeria has no reason to move or migrate out of Nigeria until we fashion our economy policies according to our own needs and wants. How do we do that? We are an agrarian society. This wants. How do we do that? We are an agrarian society. These young people come out from rural area. They go there because our own rural communities are not habitable. So they have to come out for a greener pasture. Where would they get it? Is it in our cities? No. So they have to move out into other countries. We have to look at it. We have to change our attitude. Until we change our attitude, even if you bring back these young people, they'll still go back. Because what would they be doing in Nigeria? Where would they get the job? Some of them prefer to be slaves than to come back to Nigeria.
If I may jump in here, Kabir Shitu, you talked about agrarian disposition. At least that would be most likely in the past, definitely not now. How do you make agriculture more attractive to these young people, especially now that agriculture is seen as something that is for the poor, it's for the elderly, it's for the never-do-wells?
We have to mechanize. We are going to mechanization of our agricultural projects. And then we have to also look at it. It has chain value from the farming to processing, from processing to packaging, from packaging to marketing. It's a chain that will employ millions of Nigerian youth. But we must, first of all, look at putting our agrarian society, the communities, to be habitable for people to live. And you can't do that without having electricity. So we have to now look at how do we put electricity in various communities. And we have to now not only depend on maybe hydro. We have to now diversify our electric generation to either solar for the north, hydro for the north central, the south you talk of turbine, and then like that. That we must, we don't need to depend as a country on one source of generating electricity. And if you do that, you have to look at the feeder roads. How do you open up feeder roads into all these community areas? And thirdly, we have to now set up processing plant in each of these region in conformity with type of crops that you can get around there. If you are going to set up anything in somewhere like Lagos, as we are saying now, Lagos has been a commercial hub of the country. Shift to somewhere like Ondo, where you can get cocoa.
Kabir, let me interrupt you.
Plant.
Yeah, Kabir, let me interrupt you so we don't digress too much from the topic on ground right now. We're still dwelling on the issues in Libya. We know that a lot of Nigerians are going through, not just Nigerians, but a lot of young people are going through harrowing experiences there. Now, we still hear that people are trapped there. Those who are being sold are being sold. But at this time, what can the government do, or what can Nigerians do, what can African leaders do to rescue those who are there and ensure that this doesn't go on again?
Nigerians have to now move to Libya diplomatically, and then be able to carry United Nations along with them, and African Union along with us, because you know they are trapped on the rebels camps, and you cannot get into these rebels camps without having some military power. So therefore, I will ask Nigerians not to only pay lipstick or just sending an aircraft to this. It's something that we have to call on United Nations and African Union to come up with a military solution, because they are camped in on these rebel camps. So how do you get there? To bring them out, it has to be by force, and Nigerian alone cannot do that. So we urge Nigerian government to collaborate with AU and IOM to make sure that there's a campaign of taking these people out of this rebel group area.
Now, some analysts actually blame the catastrophic Western military intervention that happened in 2011 on what is going on in Libya, the Libya slave markets. What do you think is the role of European countries, for example, and of course Italy, that has reached some kind of deal with Libya not to allow illegal migrants into Italy and of course further down into Europe? How can we engage European countries to ensure that, you know, there's some level of fairness towards illegal migrants?
That is why I'm saying we should engage IOM, International Organization for Migrants, and we engage United Nations, we engage AU, until you go into these bilateral agreements and then move into Libya. Even if you go into Libya, you can only stay at the cities. And these slaves are being camped in some of these rebel enclaves. So you need the assistance of military, you need military backup to be able to get into this area. And you don't get those military backup without talking to all these international organizations that can back you up militarily.
All right, now going ahead, can we make a statement, can it be made clear, point blank, that the governments, African governments have really failed the young people? That is why this is even happening in the first place.
Definitely, you see, first of all, you look at what is the belief of the Arabs. Slave trade in Arab countries is not is nothing to them. It's part of their system. And they see blacks. They believe that you, as a black, you are a slave. Wherever they get you, they'll take you. They believe they can maltreat you and do otherwise. Therefore, it is our government that must now put up measures. We must first of all curb corruption, because what leads us, our country, down drain is corruption. Now, if you are able to curb corruption, and then you have to get mindset, you must change your mindset as leaders. These billions you are taking to the economy of the Europeans, if you have kept it within your own community, you won't have this problem today.
All right, very good
Kabir.
points there, Kabir Shitu. Let's put you on hold. Kabir Shitu is the national chairman of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, ABDA. We'll continue this conversation when we come back. How can this Libya slave market be smashed? You stated earlier that there is a major factor that is playing out in all of this, and that is the role of anti-black racism. That gives it a totally different dimension.
Yes, you see, the Arabs believe, and it is part of their system on slavery, because they believe that if they invade anywhere, and the people that they take from those areas are like booty that they war booty that they take and share. And when they share you, they sell you into slave market to be able to get their money. So it is nothing to Arab world to trade on human being. That on slave trade is their belief. How do we curb it? We must look inwards to curb this menace. How do you curb the menace? We must, as a people, as a country, now take comparative advantage of our own resources. How do we do that? We must ban exportation of raw material until you are able to process any raw material in Nigeria before you can export it. That way, industrialization will come up and people will now have job to do.
All right, now let's get into...
But if you don't create a job for...
Kabir. We know that these migrants who travel to Libya, they have a route. It is known where the route through which they go through, in some of the states in Nigeria, through Niger Republic, and sometimes through Mali, other times through Algeria and all of that. But how easy would it be to block some of these routes that these people take, especially from the border area in Nigeria?
It is not easy for you to block people from moving. One, if they have their passport and they have freedom of movement, especially within ECOWAS country. So how do you see, you cannot stop migration, but you can stop them by giving them job. Because if they don't have any job to do, they must find a way out of the country. And our borders are porous. There are various borders that are not manned. So they'll move out through those borders. Even if you man those borders, a human being must look for survival. How do they survive without any job to do? They'll move out. The best means of creating is for them, for us as a country, to provide employment for them, create employment for them.
Yes, of course, and that's a point. That's a point that is well taken. Let me come in here. But can you really blame Libya alone in all of this? I mean, some analysts say that the international community is turning a blind eye to, the issues of Libya slave trade. I mean, the question has been asked, when the slaves are sold, where are they sold into?
They are going to the European farm plantations. They go to Arabs' houses to wash plate and then do menial jobs. You cannot, you see, we must as people start looking at ourselves. If you are blaming other countries for your own woe, it is our government here that has not taken to their own responsibility. It is our leaders that must have mind change, not to embezzle our money and even go and better the economy of those areas. And then we must also look at how we practice our own economic development. The Europeans are practicing welfareism, capitalism. The Chinese are practicing communism, capitalism. What type of capitalism do we put ourselves into?
Okay.
Is it crony capitalism, where only one man gets the resources of the country and then just cajole it, embezzle it, do whatever I like with the money, and everybody is a slave under him? Even within Nigeria, we have slaves within our own area here.
Okay.
Until Nigeria as a country is being able to fashion an economic development system of its own, not to follow other countries' economic destiny. And that's why we are saying, we are an agrarian society. Let's fashion our economic development according to our own. Let's now take comparative advantage of our own economic development. What are the comparative advantages? We have crops, we have solid mineral, let's say, okay, you cannot export this until you are able to process it in Nigeria.
All right,
you want our crops, or you want our solid mineral, bring your industries to Nigeria.
Okay.
Until we ban them from taking our raw material out. Because we are now slaves. We sell our own distance to them, our raw material to them. They take our own children to go and process it in their own country.
All right, Kabir Shitu, we have to leave you here now. We have to leave you here now. Kabir Shitu, thank you so much. National Chairman of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance. Thank you for talking to us. Thank you for lending your voice on this issue right now.
Very profound words that he just said there.
Yeah, we have to take advantage of our comparative advantage.
Exactly, you know, raw materials are taken out there, and our own children are taken out there to process this raw materials.
All right, especially looking at the population projection. The population is rising, and something has to be done.
Something